What's going on, gamers? This is going to be a custom topic, but a pretty straightforward topic, not really looking at any post or anything. But the thing here is, here's the topic. It's Xbox is not going to be able to survive without Steam with the Xbox Helix. And it's very true. If Microsoft doesn't have that, I don't see the point, because Helix can't be actual console that's going to go on the market and sell and compete with PlayStation 6. It's pretty much dominated and over with already. And what do I mean by that? Well, it's pretty obvious. I've said this before. The Xbox Helix to me is an optional OEM model, hybrid model, and it's going to remind me of the position of the Steam Deck, the Steam machine. And it's going to be an optional hardcore choice for Xbox enthusiasts, those that are still supporting the Xbox community, and those that I guess want to carry over their library, because they still have a library on Xbox if you're still buying games, you know what I mean? Because most people get on Game Pass. But other than that, it's like the identity is not there to be represented as a standalone product that can be on the market, that could handle its own weight and stand on its own with its own ecosystem. It can't do that. It needs something to stay relevant. And that's why it had to shapeshift to PC, integrate like a Windows K2, as he's talking about this right here. We could actually take a look at that real quick, and have like a unified aspect where you could still kind of focus more on gaming rather than a full-blown Windows PC device. But they're still going to need Steam, because without that, what do you have? You just have the Windows Store. Who goes on PC for the Windows Store? You realize some things again that Microsoft can't really stand on its own no matter what. And then when it comes to its games, they can't stand on their own on an Xbox console. They have to go to PlayStation. So no matter what, they need PlayStation, and no matter what they're going to do next gen, in order to even stay relevant against PlayStation in any facet, they're going to need Steam. Just like right now, since Forza Horizon 6 is not coming to PlayStation 5 day one, they need those Steam sales. You see what I mean? No matter what, they're going to need Steam as they migrate to PC more. And the Helix is not going to be something that sells like crazy. The only way I could see that even getting even more sales than you would think is if they have like an Xbox Helix S model, and it's a cheaper entry model. Then with that, you'd be able to possibly get more console sales. But if it's just going to be out of the $1,000 plus range barrier, I don't see it selling much at all. So Silicon says right here, Project Helix represents a strategic pivot for the next generation of Xbox. The core objective is to develop a hybrid machine capable of running both console and PC games natively. I mean, yeah, sure. But it's to the point now when you think about the PS5 Pro, it's kind of making everything like that. Sony has backwards compatibility support as well for PS4 games. I mean, we're kind of there. Like, when I keep hearing about this backwards compatibility support, it is a cool thing, but I also feel like it's very niche, because nobody buys a console for backwards compatibility support. It's never sold a ton of consoles. PlayStation 5 getting it was a huge bonus. And I do believe it is important, obviously, to a certain extent. But Xbox has always had that, but it never did anything amazing. You think about the series, guess what? Did it blow up and sell because of that? No. So this approach aims to dissolve the barriers between platforms, potentially bringing storefronts like Steam or Epic Games Store directly to the living room. Well, that's what the Steam machine is doing, but this is going to be a powerful hybrid option PC that's going to be able to do that. However, this ambition relies entirely on the success of Windows K2. I was talking about this earlier. This initiative focuses on creating a stripped-back, highly optimized version of Windows specifically for gaming. The primary concern is that the console might evolve into a living room PC that is too cumbersome. If the operating system fails to provide the seamless stability expected from a console interface, the user experience will degrade. Essentially, the hardware success depends on the engineering team's ability to make Windows feel invisible and performant. I know what he means like that. You have to make it feel like a console experience. It is a significant technical challenge to balance the simplicity of a console with the open nature of a PC. And it is, though. Like, to be real on that. But like, the relevancy of this device is only going to be if you have a cheaper entry model that's underneath $1,000 easily, that can be around a PS6 price. And even then, I think you got to have a cheaper model, because Sony has a base where no matter what, they're going to move hardware. They're a hardware manufacturing company in a lot of ways as well. When I think about Xbox, they're not very good when it comes to that. They don't know what they're doing. And they're not very good at building, love with a community that makes them want to grow. We've seen it. They only keep making dumb mistakes. They can't be stable and they destroy everything. And now they're forced to kind of like shapeshift and say, Steam, I need you. Because when you think about gaming on PC, it's Steam. So like outside of that, it's like, well, okay, so what's going to be going on here then? You need Steam. And you were hoping that Sony would keep their games on Steam so that you could get PlayStation games from Steam on the Helix. But now we're finding out, though Sony hasn't officially said anything, but I'm pretty sure it's where I haven't heard anything about Ghost of Yote. You're not going to be getting those single player games from PlayStation anymore. Steam is not going to get it. It wasn't that Xbox was getting PlayStation games. And I've said this before. It was that Xbox needs Steam to get PlayStation games. Because in order for you to get Xbox games, or in order for Xbox to get PlayStation games, they would have to come to Xbox. Like Helldivers, you got Helldivers. But if you need Steam to play Helldivers, you don't have Helldivers. You see what I'm saying? And I think this is where people did not understand that certain concept, where you were thinking that, oh, don't worry, that's why Helix is going to be able to get all the PlayStation games. No, Steam is getting the PlayStation games, and you need Steam integrated into your system. And if it is, you can get those games. But you got that experience already on the ROG because that is as a PC. You see what I mean? Steam is PC. It's not a console. So therefore, there was no console coming if it has Steam on it, because you need Windows for that, like a certain type of setup that's going to have like a PC like experience. But it is a PC trying to appear like a console now. Same thing as a Steam machine. It's still a PC, but it's coming with a console like a setup, but it's not going to have Windows. It's going to have Valve's operating system, which is interesting. So that's my thing. I don't think there's any hope for the Helix if it doesn't have Steam on it. It has to have Steam on it. So you need Steam just like you need PlayStation, because you need PlayStation to share their games with Steam, and you need Steam to get PlayStation games, and you need PlayStation to sell your games on there. Like when you really think about like the Helix coming out, there's not going to be really a console war like you think. It's already over with. Xbox is permanently defeated. In that sense, it's like, yeah, it's very true. Now, what could the Helix do? It could be interesting if you have a cheaper entry model, and having people be able to get a PC that cheap and sell it on the market and have cool comparisons going against PlayStation along with the Helix as well, so that you could think that it's kind of like an Xbox console competing in that sort of sense, and having access to all these games and being able to, I guess, do mods and all that sorts of stuff. And if Sony stops putting their single player games on there, though, you're just going to be able to have like a older selection of PlayStation games, but that can already be maxed out right now on PCs. That's why I feel like what is the Xbox Helix going to do to be innovative enough to stand on its own and say, man, we got to get that. The only thing I could say is that you having a entry model PC console like experience that is around the same price as the Steam machine, but blowing it away. You see what I mean? Because then you could easily replace the Steam machine, because you could say, oh, there's an Xbox Helix S that's selling very cheap, and look at these specs compared to the Steam machine. It's blowing it out of the water. Why would I go get the Steam machine when I can play that and get Steam on there? If that ends up happening, who knows what's going to end up happening? But no matter what, you're not going to be able to compete against PlayStation on the market. And you have no identity, no exclusives. Everybody's going to be getting your games. So PS6 is going to have all Xbox games, and it's going to be running them on PSSR 3. That's why I told you why I think the Xbox Helix specs are irrelevant, because if you have the PS6, in the sense of the PlayStation 6, PSSR 3 can make it relevant, is because if you have a PlayStation 6, not only do you have all of Sony's exclusives, but you have an identity on that console, it's going to sell a ton, and it's going to have everything pretty much Steam has. Like, what? Dude, they have Xbox games too. You want their third-party games. They're going to have their money hats. You see what I mean? And everything is going to run over 60 frames per second no matter what. There's going to be path tracers. It's going to have all that. So what's the point of the Helix then if you are invested into the PlayStation ecosystem? Unless you're just a diehard Xbox person and you don't really like PlayStation, so you want to get a cheaper optional entry into the PC world, where you probably have to pay more money to get that PC outside of that, unless you want to run a Linux build or something. You know what I mean? Or you just like Apple or whatever, though you have to pay a ton of money for their stuff to even be able to like get that. But you can only go so far with that until they start making gaming setups. I mean, it's not too bad with like an M5 Pro or M5 Max. Yeah, you'll be able to game really well with that, but that still costs a lot of money. So I want you guys to let me know what you actually think about that, because to me, I feel like this Project Helix, like, not to beat it down, it's so irrelevant compared to the other Xbox. It's definitely the Series X, because that had some sort of chance if they would have done something correct. But no matter what Microsoft does with the Helix, it doesn't have any exclusives, and it can't go back to exclusives, and it's an optional, you know what I mean, purchase from what's already available in the PC market. So they need Steam, or what's the point of this thing? You know what I mean? So that's my take. I want you to let me know what you think. I just think that there's really not much they can do outside of that. What else could they come up with? Right? And then you hear this thing about like the physical conversion of this. It's like, I don't do that, because your launch is already going to be rough. How are you going to be able to compete with PlayStation 6? The question is, I don't think you can in any facet, except just maybe some power war, or maybe saying I can have a cheaper entry model right here and have Game Pass, because Game Pass is not coming there. But it's already on PC. You see what I mean? No matter what, I'm trying to think, how could this do anything innovative? It's going to be tough. That's the position they're in. So like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. Later, keep on gaming, no matter what platform you're on.